Welcome to the Legacy of Light podcast, where we channel messages from the higher realms, taking you on adventures into the higher realm history of this planet, to golden ages, advanced civilizations, and sharing messages and news to support you on your ascension path. I'm Gabriella Kowalski, and
I'm Polina Light. We are so delighted to be taking you on a journey of embodying your own divinity, exploring your beautiful, magnificent, infinite heart, and connecting deeper to your own beautiful eternal nature.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcoming you back to Legacy of Light, beautiful podcast with
Polina Light
and me, Gaby Kowalski from Oneness. Today we're taking you on a beautiful journey, and this journey is into the many unique pathways of ascension. There are so many different pathways of ascension, so many different journeys that we go on that as a network come into a unified form and have us anchor and stabilize our delicious, beautiful soul consciousness into this body and have us anchor a higher consciousness to remember we're creators of reality, to remember who we truly are, so we can enjoy this planet fully. And so we felt to share today with you our stories and certain aspects of our stories of ascension for many purposes. One, so you can experience diversity and pick up pieces that can support integration for yourself. And also, we wish to go deeper into that there truly are so many pathways of ascension that when we land in our own and honor the fact that we are walking our own path and we stop looking at others and how their paths look, we truly do travel upon the most delicious pathways, meaning that we each have our own. Every one of us has our very own unique sovereign ascension that we chose for this lifetime, for this incarnation. And yes, of course, there are times where we join hands with others and walk sections of the paths with others, sometimes bigger groups, sometimes smaller groups. Yet the truth is there are also times in our ascension where we walk seemingly alone. And it's not that we're alone, because we're never alone. We are always with our divine families. Yet there are pathways and codexes for us to explore that are just for us, and we chose to explore them in one frequency, in one soul frequency, which is our own. And so this is also sharing with you some of those pieces, to accept that some of the pathways are designed to be walked, and explored by our own unique presence and consciousness. And some of our pathways we walk and explore and create with others. And so, beautiful ones. Sumak Diana Hatay Usutay. There are many different versions of us on the planet. Some of us come and we're coded with codes of remembrance that activate quite early in our life. And then there's others where we chose to remember more later on in life. And so as you're listening, please know that if you are just if you are one of those people that for the last 2 years you've just gone through a huge remembering, that's exactly what you chose in this lifetime. And if you're listening and you're one of these people that was born with a lot of remembering, then that is exactly what you chose. For me, I'm kind of in between. So as a child, I was always present to the knowing inside of my field that there was so much more than the physical plane of existence. As a child, I would look out of my window at the stars and I'd wonder who's there. And I would just dream about all the different beings that must exist out there in the stars. It just felt really normal and very practical for me that there would be so many out there because, well, we're here and we're this one planet. Oh my gosh, look at all those stars. And then when I learned that there was so much more out there that my eyes could see in the skies, I would dream and I would wonder and I would create all sorts of different wonderful, representations of this. I now realize some of this was remembering, that as I would envision different beings on different planets and how things were, I was actually remembering certain places as a child. Then for myself, I found myself as a kid and as a teenager always being kind of wiser. You know, I'd hung out with older people who liked to hang out with me because I would always be able to create and maintain a stimulating conversation with them. I remember meeting this guy when I was, I think, like 16, who was in uni studying philosophy, and we'd, you know, sit at a park and smoke a joint and get high and, you know, and philosophize. And he used to just be like, whoa, you know, what you just naturally say is more than I've just learnt in the last 2 years at uni. And at first, like, these things didn't really click in. Like, I didn't really acknowledge the fact that just things saying, I just had this, like, things just seemed logical and practical to me that weren't as logical and practical for others. And to be honest, it wasn't really until a moment in my life that everything opened up more. In my early 20s, I just gotten my car license, and I'd just gotten my car, and I was driving along in the mountains, you know, to work. Back then, I used to work at a little Italian restaurant as the head cook of an Italian restaurant while I was at uni, and uni means university. If that's not an abbreviation that's global, just letting you know. Australians say uni. Is that an abbreviation that's global? Okay, great.
I think so.
Maybe. New Zealanders do too. And so there I is driving my car. Now, I don't know what this is called, but you know when they'll cut into a mountain to make a road? So it's like on one side you've got like the mountain wall, and then you're driving along a road. And so there was this one section that used to be 90 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is in miles, but it's fast. And since then they have reduced the speed there, but back then it was 90. There I is in my new car driving along, and all of a sudden my car just swerves out of control into the mountain, and I'm rolling, spinning in the air 5 times, I counted, going round and round, thinking to myself, what did I do? Trying to reflect back on what I possibly could have done driving that would have me, you know, flying this way. Then I landed on my wheels. The whole car was caved in except for the driver's side, and I couldn't even open the door because everything was crushed in. Luckily, a big man pulled up in a car and ripped my door open and carried me out. It was quite romantic, actually.
You make it sound so good, Gaby.
I know, right? Who else wants to go? Other people pulled over. I had so much adrenaline rushing through my little body. And honestly, there was not one scratch on me. Not even one. And the ambulance came. I called my mum, she came. Everything felt like a bit of a dream, and I was fine. Like, it was fine, like nothing had happened to me. And I told the ambulance that there was no need for me to come to the hospital because, look, you know.
How gorgeous I am.
Look, exactly.
Whole and complete.
My hair was still, you know. Anywho, so mum took me home. I didn't go to work that night. And then I went to sleep. The adrenaline left my field, you know, during my sleep. And when I woke up in the morning without that lovely adrenaline, I was in agony. Turned out the accident had twisted my spine so much that it was in the biggest S shape you could possibly imagine. My whole body was misconfigured. One of my bottom cheeks was, I don't know what that would be, like 5 centimeters lower than the other. And then opposingly, one of my boobs was also quite a few centimeters lower than the other. And when I got up, I couldn't move. I was in so much pain, my neck couldn't move. So mum took me to hospital where they did x-rays and confirmed that my back was pretty messed up. And I saw a few experts, and they told me that my condition of scoliosis was extremely advanced and there was nothing that could fix it. However, there were some good painkillers out there that would help me manage it. And so here I am, like 21 or something, and being told that here's some painkillers and say goodbye to some of the big things you want to do in your life because you're going to be in pain forever. I'm the kind of person, and I've always been this way, I just believe in possibility. I've believed in possibility my whole entire existence. I dream, I create. And so I couldn't believe that on this planet there was no solution for this. That just did not feel like truth for me. I believed that there was a solution, there had to be. And because of that beautiful belief and that embodiment, within 2 weeks of the accident, my brother's friend came over and he said, "Hey, I've just been to the top of the mountain where this witchy-woo man did this witchy-woo thing to my shoulders, and he put them in, and now they're all back, and God, I think he can help you." And so I called the witchy-woo man. His name is Herman, and he has passed. He passed last year, actually, and I honor and send him so much love. This man had been healing people energetically and utilizing many, many different modalities for a quarter of a century. He had merged modalities. He had one wall filled with certificates of all these different courses he had done, and so he'd formed his own and created his own systems. And when I called him and explained what was happening, he felt very confident that he could help. Mum drove me to the appointment. We actually lived in the mountains at the time, closer to the bottom. He was more on top. And I kid you not, I could not move left or right. My neck was stiff. My mum used to have to help me bathe and dress, And so when we got there, Mum helped me take my shoes off and my clothes off. I still had my bra and knickers off. Herman wasn't creepy. It was just that he was going to do lots of body work on me. And then for 2 hours, I lay there on a table as he worked with energy and pressing certain points. And what he was doing was he was programming my muscles to go back to their origin and working deeply with the energetics. As he was doing this work, he started talking to me about how our thoughts create things, how everything is made of energy. And we had this incredible 2-hour conversation about the quantum. And as he spoke, it was like a million singing angels in my ear. It felt like home. Everything he said felt just like, yes, yes, yes. For the first time in my little existence on this planet, I'd found someone to talk to that wasn't blown away by what I had to say, but was actually sharing things that had me be like, whoa, this is really cool. And 2 hours later, as he had shared how he also does work in reprogramming the consciousness, fully, removing software, uploading software, what we now call codes and templates. Back then we called them programs, thought patterns and programs and limitations and whatnot. And so this was awesome. 2 hours later, as he finished, my posture was better than before the accident. My butt cheeks were nice and perky and in alignment. My boobs were back to where they needed to be. And I had no pain. I could fully move. I had more flexibility and just this beautiful freedom in my body, so much energy circulating through my body, and absolute excitement to find out more about this work. And so I studied with him for 3 years. I did all of his courses. He would teach advanced educational kinesiology, which was a form of kinesiology, but it was a hybrid. Everything he did was really hybrid, not within the system, so to speak, but he did his own versions. I learned how to recode the body and put the body back in place, and many, many other things. NLP, but his version of NLP, Touch for Health, a lot of quantum work, and reprogramming consciousness. And it was incredible. And for me personally, it set me on a path where I learned how to recode myself, how to, through muscle testing and all these different systems, I could tune into my field and see and assess and look for if I was in harmonic resonance for that I wanted to create. And I promised myself that I would create a beautiful life for myself, a life of, back then, because I was within the consciousness stream that I was, back then I wanted to create success, which meant I wanted to create what is perceived as success in the third density, which is status and money and all of those things. And so I went to business and I would tweak my consciousness and alter the way that I was wired in order to create results within business that had not been there before, exceeding what industry standards had been in a few different industries. And for me personally, this pathway. Like I would have clients, I was as a hobby business, like I sort of, like would see clients every now and then and I'd work in their field, but it was very hobby based because the income that I was making came from first a water filtration business, then from a finance business. And I worked on people and helped them, in the background. For me in 2012, my ascension path shifted and my soul tapped me on the shoulder and said, it's time. It's time for you to teach this to people. It's time for you to show others how to work with this and to be able to recode themselves and create realities that they wish to. And so in 2013, a new ascension path opened for me, which was to build a mission empire of light on this planet, which was to serve, which was to co-create deeply with my soul, to come into a place where it's very different, a soul mission empire is so different than a business, because a soul mission empire is our mission activating and we co-create, we download, we receive, and we know that we're here to anchor and to change and transform things. It doesn't fit into, standard models. And so I then took a journey in the last, decade. The ascension journey and path I've been on has been one of a deep devotion to co-create with so much precision, with my heart, with my soul family. And every single year, there's been a remembrance. Every year, I remember more of who I am, and my access to work in the quantum you can't even recognize it compared to how it was 20 years ago, when Herman was teaching me, because my ascension path, there was so much excitement from the beginning about the quantum. I had so much excitement that it was this I just geeked out on it. Anything and everything that I could receive and learn was this huge initiation. And that has taken me to a place, where I'm fully co-creating in the space that the quantum and the physical reality are one. It's unified this for me. Yet at the same time, it truly has been a 20+ year journey to come into a place where I don't perceive the difference between the non-physical and the physical, that they are one unified field for me. And I wish to share this a little bit because, ultimately when we look at ascension journeys, there are many, many different pieces to them. Mine took me on, my choice for this lifetime was to follow an excitement of what truly rocked my socks and interested me, which was the quantum. This is my first little sharing. Tum to the tum.
It's a beautiful story. It's very captivating and so many pieces that all of us can relate to. Absolutely. My journey started, the first memory and the first intention for this life, the vision that I have access to, hasn't started in this physical body. I remember myself being a soul, feeling so excited to code this vessel, to create an avatar, to connect to all the beautiful souls that were there with me in the field. The reason why my empire is called Oversoul, because initially the first station of identity is not with the soul or myself as Polina, but as Oversoul, as the field of consciousness and field of creation. And I remember this first excitement and this tremendous curiosity and joy to separate and to create myself as an individual soul, to birth myself, then to code this particular vessel with different programs, different templates, downloading different blueprints. But more than anything, there was the biggest piece of excitement is to connect and contact and create network of relation with all souls that were there present, including councils of light, including angels, including my beautiful son, and all the friends and all beautiful beings that I am to meet along the way in this human form. So I remember this unbelievable tremendous excitement and curiosity to jump into physical expression. And I assume that this is the moment when my physicality was birthed. My parents conceived me. And also remember scattered memories of being connected and perceiving reality through the field of my mom and through the field of my father. And I remember the way of my delivery into this world, so basically remembrance of the birth. I remember the entire process that was stimulating the contractions of my mom from her perspective and from my own. Angels singing, encouragement, so much joy, so much love. It's very hard to put it in words. It's not possible because words cannot truly facilitate the experience or replicate the experience that was felt initially. And the moment as I was born into the physicality, I felt how cold it was. It was so freezing, very cold.
Very cold.
I'm still very cold all the time. It felt so cold, and the brightness of the light, I was born in a hospital, and the brightness of this artificial light was blinding me. And I remember the first moment that I inhaled and my lungs expanded. It felt like life fully entered me. It was no longer, the physical plane of existence was no longer somewhere there. It was right within me. It has entered me. And the first telepathic connection that I registered within my mind, within my inner system, is me connecting to a different being and saying, I am in. This is the exact words. I'm in this field. Where are you? Are you coming? And that being said, I'm not coming.
Oh,
This life journey, you have to experience singular. It's a singular body. It's a singular body occupancy. It's just you, but I'm there with you. I'm your family. I'm your extension, and I'll be connecting with you all the time. And I felt like, I felt that, oh my gosh, this is deceiving. You know?
I thought you were coming too.
This is very deceiving. I am in a single body. I'm no longer a part. Well, of course, I am a part of unity, clearly, but this body is singular.
I'm not part of a collective consciousness
exactly.
anymore.
I am a separate figure, literally, and I felt hurt. I did not like that. I felt like, oh, this is new. This is a new experience. So the reason why I'm sharing this is to say that we don't always get reset. Our memories are not being wiped out completely. And every experience that we have along the journey is a station of activation of certain aspects of certain memories, aspects of consciousness, and different parts of our eternal self. And sometimes we perceive ourselves as not awake, not aware, and so on. That the truth is, we are eternal beings, and we receive our activations when the time is right. And there is always a bigger plan and a bigger vision for all of us as individuals, as collective. We are following what our higher self is leading and guiding us to. And also, of course, we have free will on so many different levels. Yet, there is a higher intention. So there is never too late or too early. There is a certain pace, and the pace also gets adjusted. Please remember that we are interconnected with so many beings across universes, and also in this physical plane of existence, especially those who are in our immediate field. And sometimes activation that is, we may call, we want to enhance the pace of activations. We want to call it in sooner. Sometimes it's not in the highest purpose, not just for us, but also for collective field and for those who are in our field, because we are exchanging programs, we are exchanging love, we are exchanging. We cannot extract ourselves from the network of creation. Not possible, and it's not a good idea, so don't try. Don't try to do that. So anyway, I was born into this physicality with awareness that I'm eternal, that this is an experience. And of course, as as a child and growing through different experiences, being surrounded by different energies, different dynamics, mostly that my family was exposing me to, most of the time, not most of the time, very often I was questioning the sanity of this world. For me, as a old, wise, eternal soul, it was quite hard once again to learn the way of humans, to learn the human behavior and why some dynamics are playing out when clearly they're not the most beautiful thing you can play out,
Yes.
right? And that didn't make me feel safe. Not that I was exposed to something shocking, let's just put it this way, but of course there was some level of situations where I felt that that this is not really great. Like nothing about it is great as a child. And in those moments, I didn't feel safe. I did not feel that I actually want to experience this. But the sense of identity wasn't as developed as it is developed for adults. As children, we are within the field of our parents. So I did not feel that this experience was great for them either. There was no me. I did not want to extract myself from that. I wanted the entire field to be harmonized for all of us. So none of us is experiencing that. And those who had more control of their consciousness and body, adults, that they would know better. Because I could see, but because of my physical body being so young and me being a child, I could not communicate, I could not suggest anything. And no one would listen to me anyway because I was a 3-year-old baby. And in those moments, I felt that I remember the different way. There are different realities, there are different timelines, there are different slices of consciousness, and there are different frequencies that we can co-create. They're everywhere. Why picking that? Why picking particularly that? If it's not creating beauty. For me as a child, that was difficult. And in those moments, there was a presence of bright light. And it wasn't external, it was within me, but I could always see fractals, holograms, geometries, sounds as codes, as colors. And I could see consciousness rather than just a substance, but with precise coding of it, every single fractal and fiber that makes consciousness, including the electricity, different auric fields. We won't go into that too much. This is not the time for this is the episode for a different story. However, I remember voices in my system saying, what you are seeing is an illusion. You are not being affected by this in any way. Yes, you are receiving some programming. Yes, you are receiving some templates being activated. Yes, some parts of you that are deeply interwoven into physical matrix, and specifically matrix of this density, they are being impacted. Yet you are not of this place. You do not exist within...
As in, you don't exist only in this.
Yes, you are not here. Only a fractal of your consciousness is here that is identified with Polina, with this vessel. But you are eternal. So please do not create too much room for confusion. Don't take on too much. Take on only what is necessary for your journey to take further and unfold as a rose. The most beautiful way. But don't allow, kind of create a certain extent, control the extent of you being plugged into a certain dynamic. And those voices, they were coming from within. And of course, later on, I learned my way around recognition of who I'm co-creating with. They were angels, particularly Archangel Michael, archangels, councils of light, and different beings that are not of this galaxy. They do not resonate with words and sound. Yet it's a deep knowing, and also families of light and different versions of me, and all of that is controlled by the master self, which is my oversoul. So identifying myself as a certain being, as Polina, was always quite confusing. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, wow, this is how you look now. But I remember myself being a whole different being, different ethnicity, completely different. This is just so temporary. Wow, how fascinating that right now I look like that. This is very interesting. So I could never identify myself with the particular experience that I was having because it was an experience. I wasn't the experience. Many years after, when I turned 7, I received my first initiation into Reiki, which is an energetic practice and is directly connected to Arcturian Council of Light and so on. So it's a very specific lineage that comes from beautiful star races. All entire journey, my way was accepting physical reality, not accepting myself. But more I was identified with physical reality, I had to learn how to accept myself and the uniqueness, because I could see things that others could not see. And for me, it was quite difficult to be able to communicate with people, with my friends and family, the way they communicate with each other, because I could not relate to what they were sharing and they were not relating to what I was sharing. And in fact, it was frightening them. So I was shutting myself down. And I was calling in different memories just to make myself like others so I can fit in, so I can be accepted by others. So my journey was all about learning how to accept myself and accepting the uniqueness of all. There were so many different experiences, yet my activations were happening daily. And then there was a time when I decided and I felt a strong impulse from within that it's time to learn human behavior. And this is how I was introduced into the realm of clinical psychology. That definitely assisted my awareness and my understanding of human behavior and different patterns. But access to the quantum field was giving me a larger, bigger perspective, seeing how everything is coded, everything is an intention of different beings, intentions of different aspects of us, intentions of source, and so on. And one of the biggest aspects of this human life that gives me joy is to be able to assist others in supporting them during their journeys of awakening, ascension, and so on, when it comes to acceptance and activating their unique sovereign gifts, because sovereignty and uniqueness is to be accepted. We don't have to claim it, we are to accept it. It is always there within us. And we have to understand that each journey is unique and there is never room for comparison, because comparison directly plugs us into the system and into the field that we are breaking free from, that we are judging. So releasing codes of judgment is very important, and accepting that we all are unique. And absolutely every single color within the rainbow simply is. It is contributing its uniqueness, its authenticity to the field of creation. Colors do not compare themselves, only humans do.
Isn't that? Oh,
Yes.
You're very green today.
Way too green for my liking.
If you were orange like me, the world would be a much better place.
Making me less orange than I want to be perceived by others. So can you please change? You're way too bright and way too green.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Absolutely. So pieces that I am coding into the story for you to receive is to trust what comes from within. Trust your experience. Accept yourself through and through. Accept your experiences and allow truly with an open heart for others to have their experiences the way they are, because their soul that is equally divine, precious as yours, has a different vision for their journey, and that it is sacred, and God intended it to be. So let's not compete with God. That is not the great dynamic. And once we accept all of aspects of ourselves, our journeys, what we perceive as our mistakes, what we perceive as experiences that were not so great and traumatic, allow all to be. release judgment, release hatred towards duality, because all gets to exist the same way as we get to exist, explore, evolve, learn, experiment, and anchor our inner core, strengthen our inner core, solidify our inner core. And that is the foundation for us being sovereign, for us being embodied, which it is the fundamental blocks for service. This is when we get to serve and support others and assist and contribute, because what we are contributing to the field of creation is embodied, is an inner alchemy of our inner light and darkness, our yin and yang, our confusion and our awareness. Duality transcended and merged into one unified light of Source Creator that we get to share in our unique ways.
It's beautiful. I love this.
Thank you.
Sushiata matani hatani tiana hatai usatai. When I reflect upon my own journey, there's been one aspect that's always been present. And for you, I know that the theme was acceptance. It was acceptance of being physical,
Yes.
and allowing yourself to receive all of that, because, being physical is truly delicious. It can be so delicious, when we receive it fully into our heart. For me personally, the theme that I chose to co-create with was devotion. That there was this beautiful thread, so many threads of devotion within my field. And, earlier on inside of my journey, when I was still co-creating very deeply within third dimensional architecture, I was devoted to be number one, devoted to be the best, devoted to build and create and achieve my dreams. And that beautiful co-creation had me have a wonderful exploration within the third dimensional grids of consciousness. And that devotion carried over for me, that the thread of devotion within the next realms, there was this devotion to unify with my soul, devotion there was a time where I knew that I was here for something, but I couldn't remember what it was exactly. It was like a mission amnesia, I guess you could say. There was just this inner knowing, and I know since speaking to so many people over the many, many years, many souls have this inner knowing that I'm here for something more than this. I'm here for something more than this. And that is the first calling, it's the first call onto new pathways of ascension. And so for me, this inner knowing, birthed and expanded, and it really did start to happen when I met Herman, because, just looking at the difference he could make to the world lit my heart on beautiful fire. And then for me personally, and I really want to anchor this too, because my journey has been a co-creation with so many other mission souls on the planet who were there as guides, as mentors, that my path up the Ascension mountain, so to speak, was not a lonely one. It had so many, there is an infinite amount of souls that are missioned to hold codes and keys to libraries for us. And as we walk upon the path within and in the physical plane, everything's provided, everything. And so one of the people in my very early days that served me was Tony Robbins. We spoke about this the other day. 20 odd years ago, I would listen to his programs and read his books, and that version of me that was wanting to be the best and number one, oh my gosh, the codes and the techniques that he offered were profound to stay within a higher state of consciousness, to co-create in those realms. And I want to, also with this, I really do want to send so much love to every single person, every single soul on the physical plane that activated their own mission and stood there in it, remembered why they came here and followed the path, because it takes something to follow the path of our calling. You know, for many of us, it can take us into building our own mission empires of light. And that is a huge journey to take. It's a journey of ascension that has people embody their soul worth, their self-worth. In the earlier stages, often many mission souls will have dialogues in their inner consciousness of who am I to do this, you know. They remember that they're here to co-create a new world, and some of their gifts come online, but then they'll compare themselves to others who could be much further along in their journey and have these dialogues, who am I? Who am I to do this? And that can find them not taking steps forward joyfully, gracefully. For me, I remember 20 years ago driving along and listening to a Tony Robbins CD. And that's right, this was back in the age of CDs. And Tony was sharing like a story about some of the tours that he did in his early days and how, you know, he was at a shopping center doing a book tour and not many people showed up, and yet one woman came to him in tears in her eyes saying, thank you, this book changed my life, explaining that before she read this book, she was literally in the worst situation possible. And, you know, everything wasn't working. She was on welfare and she was unwell and she didn't have like love and family in her life. She was at rock bottom, and the book transformed her fully. Now she has her children in her life and she's doing what she loves. And I just remember I was driving along and tears were streaming down my eyes. And I said to myself, I want to do that. I want to be able to see other people glow. I want to be part of experiencing humanity thrive, to live their dreams. I want to make a difference. And at the same time as I said this to myself, you know, another voice said, well, who are you to do that? You're not Tony Robbins. You're not, you know, this guy that's done all this stuff and You're
not a guy.
Well, I'm definitely not a guy yet. Ironically, that wasn't the comparison, but it was like, you're not this, you know, you're not this person. And then I also remembered at that same time a story where Tony had shared that there was a time where he was living in a shoebox apartment, he was overweight and miserable, and he made a choice to change everything. And so once again in that moment, devotion came in, and I made a choice, and I said to myself in that car ride, I am going to apply all the things I've learned and keep learning, keep ascending, keep evolving. And once I have created something in my life, really made dreams come true, I'm going to show other people how to do it. And this is literally what happened in 2012. My soul said, hey, you've done this. You've created these things. You've created things that others have not. It's time for you to show other people how to make their dreams come true. And I share this because, you know, so many souls have stood there in different pathways, you know, different points, and that not just in the physical, also in the non-physical. My soul family has been with me the whole time. As every time I've ascended and had even greater access to remembrance, more and more light teams have come on. In oneness, in my co-creation now, gosh, the teams of light I get to co-create with are profound. The angelic realm, the god and goddess realm, councils of light from our galaxy and beyond, dragons and Gaia in the inner earth realm, and beings of pure light, pure color. Like I've got, you know, like my gosh, the family of light that is here. Co-creating ascension and mission is just infinitely abundant. And at the same time, along my journey, my personal experience, you know, I've invested over $2 million in working with incredible souls around the world. And I love that they had followed their calling and shared their offerings. And this is also why I do what I do, why I create beautiful offerings, because other people's offerings made a huge difference to me in different configurations of my ascension. They were beautiful doorways into new universes. And to this day, you know, I humbly sit within my ascension knowing that there is no end, that there is more windows, more doors, more pathways. It is an infinite, joyful, delicious, abundant playground. And one of the pieces, you know, is this like inner devotion to stay on the path. And I say this because no, the path has not always been rainbows and butterflies. You know, yes, there's been heaps of moments where, it's just unlocking new, incredible ways to perceive reality, new ways to build and create worlds. Yet the truth is, our ascension in this lifetime is inviting us to shift consciousness in such an expanded way that we're not just, you know, like to go from third dimensional consciousness to even fifth dimensional consciousness is like a tree turning into a dog, you know. It is so different an operation system. It's a completely different system. And the journey of it does have us need to have the courage and devotion to let aspects complete, to be okay to have, you know, templates and codes and, you know, aspects of potentially identity, and to create a completion ceremony with them, and to be willing to let them go, and to be willing to receive new. And new can feel scary at times. Parts of this can also have us, you know, like clearing a lot of physical, mental, emotional density. And what I mean by that is codes and imprints that hold a lower frequency to where we are ascending into. And if you're listening to this, I'm sure you've also cleared emotions and had to feel them and, you know, gone through many pieces. There are many people on the planet right now who have experienced long periods of time of having so many emotions come and so much come through. And I felt to also share a piece around this with you, because for me, you know, there's two big pieces that I received that have been, just like, you know, aside from devotion, which is of course there, I am devoted. No matter what comes in front of me, even if it's uncomfortable, I will always choose more love. It's, if I see any part of myself that's not co-creating with either love or abundance, even if I like the software, I will still let the old software go and choose to go into the new. And before I get to these two things, just a sidebar, one of the processes I went through was letting go of business. I'd been in business grids for such a long time, and I'd achieved amazing things in them, including freedom, you know, financial and time freedom. And then my mission asked me to stop co-creating inside the business grid, to build my own grid, take amazing gifts from the business grid and place it into my own sovereign grid, and then teach others how to do this. And I remember there was a time where I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I have a very, you know, affluent, beautiful business coaching business. And, you know, I'm being invited to let that go and pioneer something completely new in the world. You know, it takes courage to do these things at times, and we do need to allow ourselves to alchemize aspects. I remember alchemizing aspects of fear. You know, well, what if I do this? And, you know, I'm the crazy person that no one wants to work with, and, you know, and I lose everything I've built. And choosing to alchemize. One of the pieces for me has always been, what frequency am I co-creating with? And to be willing to do the work, you know, as soon as I can, if I can identify that there is fear or any form of scarcity within my field, I stop and I will harmonize that. And I'm so open to receiving that I'm unconsciously, consciously, subconsciously, very, like, all parts of me are asking, you know, every inner and outer aspect of myself, all of me, the question, and I'm so open, you know, show me into the depths of my subconscious so I may know what I'm co-creating with. So I've got the choice to ascend different templates and codes that have any measure of scarcity or fear inside of them, because I choose to co-create with love and I choose to co-create with abundance. This has been a big piece for me, that there is always this like choice to co-create with love and abundance. I share this because this is true ascension in my consciousness. Evolution has us access more of our channeling abilities, more quantum, more gifts, has us be able to do more cool things. Ascension has us do those cool things in the highest frequency planes of existence. And I feel like, as much as evolution is awesome, because yay, you've got quantum access and you've got, you can channel and receive all this data and, I love all of this. I've been playing with all of that my whole entire, as soon as I could. And I will always continue playing with this. And I love remembering more of my gifts from all versions of self. Yet my truest heart sits in ascension, which is choosing to embody more love, embody more abundance, embody more love, embody more abundance, and be a vessel of true light on this planet, creating webs and weaving beautiful realities. This is one piece that has been a governing light inside of my ascension. And to me, the moment I devoted to that, everything changed and my ascension journey got more and more delicious than I could possibly ever imagine. The other piece was when we co-create with love and abundance, when we truly say, okay, these are my two, guides. These are my two best friends. These are the frequencies. These are the codexes. Then what happens is when we're clearing emotions, it's always how can I do this more lovingly and more abundantly? And then we can actually hold even the harshest emotions of fear and sadness and grief and despair that we could be shifting through our fields with more love. We have, I've found that we have a much more graceful journey because we just get to be loving to those aspects of ourselves. There's no more rejection. I want this to be over. This sucks, Ascension sucks, and we're not out there making memes of, I thought Ascension would look like this, me sitting on a mountain with sun beaming on a lotus throne. But Ascension really is me with my hair messy, crying and, freaking out because I experiencing the darkness of my soul. And so to me, this like choosing to co-create with love and abundance, guided by them. What would love do? What would abundance do right now? How would love co-create with this? How would abundance co-create with this? Has always shifted me to the next place. And the final piece that I wanted to share from my own journey is there was a time, there was a time, I think it was 2020 or 2021, so it was only a few years ago, where I was receiving lots of upgrades, and upgrades for me would be like these big energetic, lots of energy running, boom, 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 and to the point where often, there's not much I could do but lie down and receive them. My whole body's tingling. It's like light pumping into my cells, and raw energy is and if I had plans that day to do something, I was unable to show up for that. And so I remember this piece where I was like, I literally said to my soul family, I'm like, Foof, can you please pause this right now and finish this later, because I really want to get this stuff done. And
it's very important, more important than Ascension.
That's right. I want to build this thing on my website, whatever it might be, a physical, thing. And to be honest, prior to this, there'd be times where I would be able to just be like, okay, stopping this upgrade so I can do this, and then, okay, upgrade, continue. So it's not like I hadn't already co-created with being able to do that with upgrades for myself. But this particular day, my soul family said, and I laugh, they said, it's now time for you to open up your capacity to truly receive the gift of your upgrades. Every upgrade is a divine gift for you to open up more and more love, more and more abundance. It is offering you the greatest gifts that are possibly available in your life. There is nothing more precious than you embodying more of your soul. This is the greatest calling of your heart. This is every aspect of you is asking for this, and it's here, and you're pushing it away. And I was like, whoa, because upgrades had become inconvenient. And if you're listening to this and some of your upgrades have been inconvenient, potentially you can relate. But I had other plans this week. And so then they said to me, my beautiful family, they said, lie down on your bed. And I did. And they said, now relax your body, relax every arm, relax both your arms, all your infinite arms.
Every single limb of yours.
They said, relax your arms, your legs, your torso, like a beautiful meditation of relaxing. And I relaxed. And, this was after the invitation to truly receive this with a full heart of appreciation. Because when we receive, abundantly, oh my goodness, it's like receive this gift instead of pushing it away. And then they said, now open your atoms. And I literally started to connect to my atoms and see my atoms open like flowers in spring. And they showed me how to receive the upgrade into my field fully. And just to be there for this moment and receive. Open your heart fully, receive this. Let every part of you receive this abundantly, fully. And this changed everything for me because, one, my upgrades became more graceful, more loving. Of course, the appreciation frequency, the receiving frequency was a very different frequency to co-create with than this is inconvenient, and when will this end, And two, it also had me open up to a capacity to receive higher upgrades, more upgrades, even more advanced libraries. Quantum shifted my ascension profoundly, that when I reflect back on the version of me on that bed a few years ago to the version I am now, it's lifetimes unrecognizable. And so I wanted to share this because they're just some of the pieces from my ascension journey that have served in such a beautiful way, to support it to be even more graceful, because I really do believe that our ascension is not a task or a project. It's not this horrible thing that we have to do. It's not we're broken and we need to heal. Our ascension is an adventure. It's an exploration. It's something that we truly desire. It's it's playing with more things. It's delicious. And these are some of the pieces that made it more delicious for me.
Beautiful. I also want to add that, once again, going back to the story that I already shared of me being a child, and a child that was 3, 4, 5, and so on. Always a child, right?
I'm still a child.
Yes, exactly. And we will always be children of sorts, right? So it's kind of just takes off this element of seriousness away, because why play with that? During those times when I was receiving messages and voices from within, my perception at that time was recognizing a certain spheres of light, as angels, as archangels, as rainbow beings, ascended masters, and so on. And yet, it was happening in pretty much every single day until I turned 27. And I remember I was sitting home, and I felt a very direct invitation by Syrian Council of Light to go and grab a piece of paper, better a book or something to write on, because it's going to be lots of writing, and find a pen. I'm like, okay, this is quite precise. I was trying to find the pen and I couldn't. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have a pen. I was trying to delay this. I was like, well, I tried my best. There isn't a pen in the house, so...
You tried really hard, didn't you?
I did. I tried. It's like, it's under the couch.
It's under the couch.
I'm like, okay. And there it was. Anyway, I started writing. Councils of Light, they started guiding me through the process of
connecting to writing basically a love letter to myself since the moment I was born.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Saying, dear Polinочка, you're so beautiful, you're so precious, and this is the very first moment of you meeting this world. There would be so many different experiences along your way. You will meet so many different beings, and please know that you are of light. And this light is home, and home is within you, within every single one. You will explore different dynamics. You will feel many feelings. You will experience many emotions. So many thoughts will be running through your mind. Yet know that you're always home within yourself. You're always safe. You're always loved. So I was writing, kept writing and writing, and I was writing for 5 hours. And then I was basically writing every single memory of mine. And when I got to the moment when I was 3 years old, and that was there was one day when I was witnessing some things that truthfully were quite harsh for a young child to experience. And as a 3-year-old version of me was receiving very precise words, I remember them. There was me, 27-year-old one, sitting and writing down. And as soon as I wrote it, I realized that all these years of my life, all those messages from within, it was another version of me communicating with the young one, directing instructions into my field, downloading instructions into my field. It was a 27-year-old me communicating with the 3-year-old me, saying that I'm with you, you and I are one. We cannot be apart, and I'm always within you and with you, no matter what you experience. I've walked this journey. You can trust me. You can know and surrender to the depths of the knowing that you are deeply held no matter what you experience. Along the way, I realized that all the beings of light are other aspects of us. They are ascended versions of us that have already mastered this human journey so much to the extent that they are willing to lovingly hold us and guide us. We communicate with them through intuition, through other experiences, through experiences that sometimes don't look like a blessing, but they are in the true essence of it. And this is what I want to share, that please have more empathy on yourself. Because a version of you that will be 20 years after this moment will be looking back at this time and feeling so much compassion, so much love. So always connect to the essence of you within you that is loving, compassionate, and you can hold yourself through anything because your journey is unique. My journey is unique, Gaby's journey is unique. And it's beautiful to see uniqueness. But what it eventually comes down to is to becoming sovereign, is to becoming capable emotionally, spiritually, energetically, mature, strong, magnificent, empowered to hold yourself through and through, to hold the entire universe within your heart, because the universe is you. And beautiful ones, when we are receiving teachings and initiations from others, as we perceive so-called masters. During my journey, I've been mentored by monks, private psychic trainings, and different mystery teachings, and so on. It doesn't matter. At that time, I was perceiving that I am receiving through that being. For example, Councils of Light, they were training me for 2 years, completely rewiring everything about me as I knew, deconditioning, deprogramming me to the extent that I no longer knew anything. The perception of me and them was very confusing and triggering aspects of density that were needed to be harmonized. Yet when we are coming to terms with all that there is and transcend dualistic perception, we also get to transcend separation between me and you and you, us.
And we get to see that it is a source light, a higher self that is speaking and bringing to our awareness, expanding our awareness, stretching our perception to the extent that we never even knew that was possible for us to experience, to embody, and to be. We are receiving teachings, guidance, assistance, support from us, from home, from source. And eventually we all are a source that is living through all of us, yet through unique vessels of light. So let's honor our uniqueness and truly enjoy individual ride of ascension. This Disneyland, this roller coaster with all the beautiful experiences. Because we are to remember how to be fully light again, embody and enjoy this human experience and hold this human vessel with so much love and knowing that we are love itself.
Here we is.
Thank you so much for receiving this transmission, receiving our stories in your heart, and hoping that it assists you on your unique journey.
Yay. Much love, and we will connect with you in another episode. Bye-bye.